How do you fix that?
Stop you for a second. So the small cut, what if you had a cut that was, say, a foot long? Would that process work the same, your first process?
You can still do it with the seam sealer. You can gain access to it by cutting a C-section, lifting it up, put the tape underneath there, and put it back together, because you're not replacing the piece, you're just repairing the cut, Don.
Okay.
So yes, you could. Secondly, when you are looking at this in terms of, I don't have material now, I need to be creative. So we developed a system that I'll call a short board replacement. It's not even the same board, but this is really very clever. It's an optical illusion. If I make a board length that is not next to the next board, and doesn't have to be the exact length, but it's not too short, I can hide this, and I'll show you how this works. This is very cool. So you cut it an arbitrary length, and how this works is you leave an end piece. You have to leave an end board, and you already have the end on the other end. So here's how this works. You need to identify where the board starts and stops. That's the most important part. You have to identify an end. And I'll just use a piece of tape and my framing square, and I'll simply draw a line here where the end board is, so I know where to stop and start. That's the most important part. Just put a line there. And then I'll simply secure my short board at whatever arbitrary length that I want it to be, just so that the optical illusion works, rather than taking out the whole board. And then I will secure it to the deck with just some tape. Now obviously, since nothing sticks to this floor, tape doesn't stick that well either, but you're not going to do chin-ups on it. You're just going to hold it in position while you cut this. But you don't want to cover, like I did here, you don't want to cover your pin marks. So you need to see those, so expose them. And just simply tape this down. And then you're going to come back with your framing square, and I'm going to ask Michael LeDuc to join me as my partner here. In the real application, I would be up on the deck, my knee would hold this down, but Michael is going to reach across here and hold this end to the straight edge so that one doesn't move, and I'll hold this end, and we're simply going to a cut after I clean the adhesive, or in this case seam sealer, off this nice sharp blade. It's important to do this task with a nice sharp, crisp, new utility blade. That way the cleaner the cut, the better the job. So with enough pressure to cut through both wear layers, I will cut through both pieces. Then I'll turn the straight edge over, and it's always safer, rather than to have this rocking, that's very dangerous, it's always safer to have your straight edge on top the piece you are cutting. So I'll position that one more time on that end, and Michael will hold that securely, and I will cut on this side. Given that I'm about out of my body's dexterity, which means if I was up on the deck, I would just be on the other side. But here, for the sake of the video, I'll cut left to right here out of my dexterity to show you that just be careful here doing it that way.
Be sure not to cut your partner in the process.
That's right. That's always important. Now here is also another important factor. I need to determine this stop and start point. So again, I covered my pin mark. So I want to expose the pin mark so I can see where that end was. And I'll ask Michael to hold this once more, maybe on this side since I have to be over here. And we will go left to right again, and I'll cut through both wear layers. And then we'll both reach up and do it again on this end. You hold that one and I'll hold this one. We actually won't want to see that one. We want to be able to see that line for this to work. And then we'll remove our frame, and we have created this short board. Now, if this was a job that we went out on because the customer called and said the damage was done, and of course they are in denial and they want to say, oh, you guys shipped that to me like that. Look, Michael and I already know you're not shipping homes that's got holes like that in it. But sometimes the customer's in denial. Yeah, they shipped it to me like that. So you'll bring this back to the plant and you'll decide with your conscience when you put this in the envelope with the invoice on why you're charging for the repair today. Here's a new method to secure the repair piece. You want to use a brand new product that Linoleum's developed for this industry. This double-face tape, or QS120, was born to do vinyl. This is not the stuff you go to the big box and buy. This was born to do vinyl. It's very aggressive on the bottom, and we'll circulate a couple of pieces around the class here from the people that are out in the field that will be working with this. Our number one guy here, Javier.
And can we tilt this up so that ladies and gentlemen in the back can see that we've actually cut
Yes.
the
Go
entire
ahead.
piece out of the flooring, and you have exposed decking here, and you will be replacing the short board for those of you that can't see in the back.
You'll take your double-face tape, which is really very aggressive and made for this, and you'll put 2 short pieces in and 2 long ones, or you'll stair-step it in like I'm going to do, and it's very clever. If you attach it to your blade, makes it very nice to work with, and you'll position it underneath the vinyl. It does not have to be perfect, but you do not want to overlay the piece. So you'll position underneath the vinyl and avoid overlaying the piece so you can get the carrier off. You get away from it like so, and go ahead and position these 4 pieces underneath the vinyl like so. And I'll step this up to real time. This is how you work with it. Very easy to work with. Nice and clever method. Slip it underneath the vinyl. It doesn't have to be perfect. Position it. Put all 4 pieces in. Then you'll stick the repair piece back in position to hold the material level so that you can roll this down with one of the tools that you'll find that LaSalle is going to offer now. It's called a seam roller. I will take my scrap piece that I cut out and I'll just put it back in here, and you will use a steel seam roller to roll this level to really lock your tape down on the floor. Be aggressive. What's that old cheer in high school? Be aggressive. Lock that tape down on the floor. And then, unless you have good fingernails and a lot of patience, sometimes I don't have either one, I will use a utility blade to remove the carrier. You keep this at a low profile. As you remove this carrier, which comes off very nicely, I might add, you walk it off at a low profile. Very low. That way you don't remove your adhesive film or your double-face tape off the floor. And this is clear. You can't even see it on here, but it's a very aggressive, does a nice job. So you walk it out just like that. Nice and gentle. And you'll go ahead and get all of them out. And anybody that's ever done this with double-face tape can probably relate to this. This is the hardest part, just getting these carriers started. But this carrier, it can be torn, but it's also got a lot of beef to it, meaning it's not going to come up in 14 pieces and frustrate the installation department. So get the rest of these up. And you've created a scenario now where I can come over here, look at this, and push the material towards the opening. Make sure it lays flat. Lock it down on your double-face tape, QS 120. Actually, I feel a piece of debris under here. You can get under there and get that out. So if you had something under there, that's the nice thing about this. You can reach under there and manipulate this. So it's very user-friendly in that regard. So lock your tape down. Then you take the new piece that you prepared and you'll position this. And here's where you get instant gratification, instant results, no adhesive contamination, no waiting. Lock that down, and I say instant grab, instant gratification, no adhesive contamination, no bleed through. A simple, easy, great looking repair section that can go in just that quick. And then you'll come back with your seam sealer. Now this seam sealer, as we said before, you'll shake this up, you'll mix it into your applicator, and this stuff I spilled on the floor over here is already just wiped away because of me working over here. It doesn't stick to the surface. That's the whole objective. It sticks between the wear layer and welds it together. So you pour as much of this in this applicator as you need. It's not affected by freezing. You can carry it on your service truck all winter long. And it has a phenomenal shelf life. So you mix this up, put it in here. But the most important part is to remember to put that fin down in here and separate that seam and put that sealer down in there. And that chemically welds this shut. And in 13 to 15 minutes, you're going to peel the bead off. This is a recommended procedure for your product category in this industry. So your guys just get comfortable, put that fin in there, chemically weld that, and don't be fearful of how much is on the surface. In fact, the more the better, because the bigger the bead, the easier it is to pull it off in 15 minutes, because it's going to be more material to grab a hold of and pull it off. And you'll let that chill out on there. Now, I want to show you here. I'm going to take this up now. A little premature. I should have waited a few more minutes, see? But I'm going to go ahead and pull it up. Now maybe I ain't got 15 minutes. You know, oh, I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time to move that. Let's just wipe that up now. We ain't got time for all that waiting around. We got to get this thing up the plant, man. I want to go home today. Wipe it off. It don't matter. Wipe it off early. It's in there someplace. That's good, isn't it? When you got to look that hard, it ain't there, is it?